Hi class, welcome back to pre-algebra. I hope you had a great Christmas and you're having a good New Year. We're going to jump right into getting some more lessons completed here. We need to work on 15 lessons before we meet again on February 2nd. It would be great to have all of January off, but you'll get very rusty if you do that. So be sure to work a little bit each day on these lessons and try to do all the homework, of course. I'll have to just collect it all from you when we meet again, and I'll have a lot of work to correct at that time. So today's lesson, lesson 51. Oh, and I also want to mention, I'll be posting the links to all my video lessons in week 14 of the fall semester. That's where you'll find links for a little instruction video for each of the 15 lessons. But in my spring syllabus, which is posted on Haiku, that's where you'll find all the homework assignments. Now, last semester, I used to post what to do each day so you get a good idea, getting good habits of breaking your math into daily chunks. Try not to be a weekend warrior. Don't do all your math in one day. It is very difficult to learn that way. It's very difficult to retain anything. So be sure you're working, 4 or 5 days a week on math. That's optimal. Okay, so this lesson, lesson 51, is on the concept of the decimal part of a number. And we did something almost identical to this last semester called the fractional part of a number. You might remember, you'll see the text would give you word problems that would say something like, what fraction of 20 is 8? And you would have to convert that word problem into a math problem. And I gave you some little tricks on how to do that. For example, I told you that when you saw the word of in the problem like that, that meant multiplication. And when you saw the word is in a problem like that, that means equals. So what fraction of a number equals 4 this particular problem would be read 2/5 of what number equals 4. And you would write 2/5 times n equals 4. Then to solve for this, we'd have to remember our multiplication and division rules for equations. I would rewrite this as 2/5, and I'd write the n right next to it to indicate multiplication. Now we have a very classic algebra problem here. If you remember our multiplication rules for equations, I can multiply the left-hand side by the reciprocal of 2/5. As long as I multiply the right-hand side, I've not done anything to make this a false equation. Once I do that, I can cancel this fraction here on the left-hand side. Now I have n all by itself. That's always my goal for an algebra problem, is to have my variable all by itself on the left and to have an answer on the right. Now I just need to multiply 4 times 5 halves. So we'll make this 4 over 1 for simplicity's sake. 4 times 5 is 20. We'll multiply our numerators. Our denominators, 1 times 2, that's 2. And that equals 10. And that's how we would have solved a similar type of problem when we were working on fractional parts of a number. Okay, now we're just working on decimal part of a number, and the only difference is that rather than a fraction, we're writing decimal numbers. It's the only difference. So this is a good review, really. So if you look at on the left-hand side here, I've got 3 equations. They're all the same equation, but they have a different variable missing in each problem. So what the text is going to do, it's going to give you 3 word problems. And in each word problem, you're going to be looking for a different variable. And so if the word problem corresponded to equation number 1, it would say, what decimal part of 20 equals 14? What decimal part of 20 equals 14? Remember that the word of, sorry about that, of corresponds to times. Okay, stop doing that. The word of in a word problem corresponds to multiplication, and the word is corresponds to the equal sign. Okay, then all you would have to do, let's write this in standard algebraic form. We would have our coefficient, then our variable, like that. The coefficient is just the number in front of a variable. Now, remembering my division rule for equations, if I divide my left-hand side by 20 and my right-hand side by 20, I haven't changed the equation. It's still a true equation. I can cancel my 20s on the left, and I end up with d all by itself equaling 14 over 20, and I'm not going to do the division in front of you, but that happens to equal 0.7. 7/10, I should say. 7/10. All right, so that's all this lesson involves, is the word problems that end up giving you 2 out of 3 variables, and you have to find the third. But you have to know, you have to recognize in the equation that they're looking, which variable they're looking for. Are they looking for the decimal portion? Are they looking for the number? Or are they looking for, oh, I made a mistake here. I'm not supposed to give you that number. Are they looking for the answer? Okay. In number 2, the word problem in the book would say 7/10 of what number equals 14? 7/10 of what number is 14? And it would be written 0.7 times n equals 14. You would write 0.7 times n equals 14. You would divide both sides by 0.7 so that you can cancel that on the left-hand side. Now you're left with n equals 14 over 0.7. And I can tell you that that is going to equal 20. This was already worked out ahead of time. You'll have to do the division on your own. Okay, lastly, I have 0.7, sorry, I'm going to call it 7/10. We're talking decimals here, let's read them properly. 7/10 times 20 equals A. In the book, that would say 7/10 of what number is, sorry, it would say, yes, it would. 7/10 of 20 is what number? 7/10 of 20 is what number? 7/10 of 20 is what number? And so all you have to do here, this is a pretty standard math equation where we have, we're looking just for the answer. So 0.7 times 20, and I bet you could probably already guess that equals 14. All right, do the math yourself there. Okay, so that's all this is. We're going to have 3 word problems. You're going to have to remember that of corresponds to multiplication, is corresponds to the equal sign, and you're going to use the multiplication and division rules for equations to find your missing variable. All right, class, good luck with that.